What's up? What's up? What's up, Dolphins fans? Welcome to another episode of Outside the Pod with Danny and Jules. Here to talk about some Miami Dolphins football. Okay, so we skipped an episode. So we haven't seen us since before the Pittsburgh Steelers game, which basically crushed our hopes of the playoffs. Although it was kind of ending already, right? When the Chargers won that same week on Sunday, it was already it was already a really bad situation, and we weren't really going to make the playoffs. But after the Chargers won, it made it that much harder to even be considered a real chance to make it. And then, the Pittsburgh loss, not this previous week against the Bengals, but before that, basically, officially took us out. And and then following that, as we all know, just to catch up everybody, since we haven't been here for a week and a half, Quinn Ewers is now quarterback one. And it, to me, is obviously a 3-part job interview that he's going to be getting. I believe that the front office probably came down to Mike McDaniel, say, hey, guess what? We're going to give you one more year to keep continuity in the team and within the locker room with the head coach. But we want to see what Quinn has. And I believe that's probably coming down from the top and kind of drove that decision, probably that he was already thinking of. But because I still think that Tua gives you the better chance to win based off experience and knowing the offense better. But I think they made the decision like, hey, you know what? We need to know what Quinn has. What do we have for the future? What are we looking at when we're going into this coming up offseason? So in comes Quinn for the remainder of the season. Anything on that, Jules?
I agree with that decision. The season's not going anywhere. You have Quinn Ewers there, and you're trying to figure out what you're going to do next season. And so part of it is figuring out if Quinn Ewers is even in the conversation to start at any time starting next year or the year after. So we got to figure that out. And I don't think that, somebody like, Zach Wilson is in that conversation. I think he was just, a viable backup or whatever. But looking into the future, Quinn Ewers should definitely be in the conversation. I agree totally with that. And so having this change right now, if you already know that Tua is not going to be your guy, just move on and figure out what you're going to do in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. So Quinn Ewers is going to finish off the season. But let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers game real quick. Not going line by line, but it started off okay. But it got kind of stifled by a couple of turnovers, right? One being an interception. And I think the defense ended up being on the field a lot. And I think got a little tired to where the Steelers offense was able to move the ball pretty easily. Aaron Rodgers was kind of dicing them up towards the end. And then I feel like Mike McDaniels and Tua didn't really turn it up until late in the fourth quarter. I think it was the 9th minute when they finally scored the first touchdown. And getting Darren Waller involved, it seemed like too late. I think he had one catch before that. And then all of a sudden, now you want to just step it up when you're down, when you're too far down to come back. I don't feel like the cold really had too much. Besides that Tua interception, it did look like his hand was frozen. And when he threw it, it just looked like he had nothing behind it. Probably off his back foot a little bit. But, Tua was doing Tua things in the cold. But I think the rest of the team was kind of still playing the way I expected them to play. But like I said, I feel like maybe the game plan wasn't good enough. Obviously, Tua's play wasn't great also. Cost him to get benched for the rest of his life, probably. He's probably not going to see the field again, at least as a starter. But, I just felt like maybe it's a little too late to kind of drive up the offense, start using Waller, start using something else. And it seemed like kind of the same recipe for the whole season, right? Especially early on when we were getting no wins, where there wasn't no adjustments until it was too late. And maybe the opposing team was really playing just vanilla defense at this point, just trying to make sure that Devon Achane doesn't have 80-yard runs 3 times and all of a sudden we're tied. Anyway, that was my feeling about the Pittsburgh game. It just felt like they kind of got ahead of us because of some turnovers kind of back to back. And then the defense was not able to keep up. just because they were on the field seemingly for the first 3 quarters, or at least after the first half of the first quarter, and then all the way through the half, it seemed like they were on the field.
Yeah, a couple of things, struck me in that game, and most of it, I've already deleted from my brain because
Yeah.
who the
Yeah, it was hard to
F
think back because I was like, man, screw this game.
because who the F cares at this point? But what I remember from that, fiasco is that the Steelers did, just a fine job of game planning. They said, we're gonna, if we're gonna ask Tua to beat us, we're gonna stop HN at all costs, and basically that was the game plan. As simple as that sounds, that's what every team should be doing against the Dolphins right now.
Especially in the cold,
Especially in the cold where Tua's just not been effective. You have 8 people in the box and stop HN at all costs, and then let Tua makes his mistakes whenever, and he did, and it played right into what they were doing. And the other thing that kind of worried me there at the end is the way the clock management was being handled by McDaniel. A lot of time coming off, the clock when we were trying to come back. I mean,
and that happens whenever it's close games, or like when we're down and we're trying to get back in it. It always seems like, he's having a hard time probably making a decision on what he wants to do. So he's back and forth, like this play, or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden, the game clock is freaking down, and we're calling timeouts when we don't really need to. So yeah, some concerns with Mike McDaniel as coach. Although, like I said, seemingly they're gonna keep him.
Yeah, I think so too. I think these are things that they think that McDaniel is not necessarily 100% to be, culpable. But it does worry me that some of these things might occur, even if we give him a shot with another quarterback. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, it caused Quinn Ewers, or I'm sorry, it caused Tua Tagovailoa to be benched.
You already forgot his name?
Yeah, I'm already. Yeah, that's it. I don't know how to say it. We're back to when we first got drafted and everybody's screwing up his name. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I'm back. I'm
right.
Tagovailoa, whatever his name is, whatever, that guy ended up getting benched. Obviously, right after the game, or the next day, I believe, is when Mike McDaniel was being, in the media saying basically, hey, everything's on the table, and when you kind of, the writing was on the wall right shortly after the game. Like, hey, you know what? Quinn Ewers is probably coming up. So that's what ended up happening. Quinn Ewers got the opportunity to get a short week, but nonetheless the week to prepare with the first team. And yeah, moving on to the Bengals against Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow and T. Higgins and Lamar Chase basically did whatever they wanted. I saw some catches from T. Higgins that I was like, man, these guys. Yeah, they could. I don't really know what else to say besides that offense was kind of moving the ball with us, and it's obviously a completely different offense with Joe Burrow than with any of their other quarterbacks, right? Including Joe Flacco. So Joe Burrow still got it. It was hard to stop them. They scored 45 points on us. And Ewers, a lot of people on the internet was driving me crazy, right? Like, oh, do you guys really like Quinn Ewers now? Like, look. Dude, his first freaking start out of his career as a rookie. And you're going to say, nobody's thrown 2 interceptions in their first start. They already put a bunch of Hall of Famers like Peyton Manning. I'm sure Dan Marino had a worse freaking game. I think Quinn Ewers had more yards in this game passing than Tua had in any of the games the whole season except for one. And it was the first game when we still had Tyreek Hill. Other than that, Quinn Ewers had more passing yards than Tua in any other game. And I mean, yeah, some people say that one of the interceptions kind of, came off of Waddle, but he shouldn't have thrown that. He was covered. I'm pretty sure it was actually the defender's arm that got in the way. And the ball bounced off his arm and it went into, I think, the safety or whatever. But yeah. No, it was, what's his name? Anyway, yeah, I can't think of his name. But, I mean, a rookie quarterback in his first start is going to have some blemishes, for sure. But I will say this, that he looked decisive. He looked poised as he did in the preseason too, and in the games that he was in. And he kind of has, it seems like he's mature enough and doesn't seem rattled. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of stuff that I like to see. He's gonna learn the offense better. He's gonna learn the NFL defenses better, to where his decisions that he makes pretty quick are gonna be better. And he needs to be able to read the defenses pre-snap, so he can make those decisions that he likes to make seemingly really quick. Because he kind of seems, at least for now, like a first read type of guy as well. Because he gets the ball out. He drops back and shoots it, and tries to force it in, and that's probably why he got a couple interceptions. But anyway, I don't believe that game was that bad for a rookie quarterback. So anybody that's saying Tua back in, it doesn't really matter at this point. He gets the 3-part interview at this point. We all know that's going to happen. And let's let him do it. We need to see what like Jules said earlier, we need to see what we got before the offseason. So he gets the 3-part interview.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you remember Burrow's first start, nobody remembers, but I looked it up. He had 193 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And I'm not comparing Ewers to Burrow, but you got to give this guy a fair shot. So I agree with you. Yeah, there's no way. Actually, there's a lot of things to like there.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. That's what I'm trying to say. Exactly. So with that, what are your, as I know, are very early, what are your expectations for Quinn Ewers, as far as, do you believe, based on where the team's at right now, that he'll end up being the starting quarterback? Or do you think they're bringing in competition or even a draft pick early, trying to move up, or whatever the case may be? Some people are, their draft pick's not going to be that low. So obviously there's still going to be probably some pretty good quarterbacks out there. What do you see? I know it's very early for Quinn Ewers specifically. How do you feel is his future in the team?
Well, I mean, it's too early to tell what he's going to do, for sure, as far as his career, right? I mean, there's a lot of things to like about him. Nice arm talent. In this start, he doesn't second guess much. He uses instinct a lot. He's generally making the right decisions. I think maybe one in the second interception, I kind of liked it. It was a one-on-one thing. The cornerback made a good play on that ball. Jalen Waddle kind of lost himself in that, and he didn't know where it was going. Otherwise, he should have jumped up and tried to get it at the top of the highest point. And the cornerback made a good play, but it was one-on-one. You like Jalen Waddle in most situations like that. Mm-hmm. And so that to me was all right. The first one, I don't know, is from some angles, to me, it almost seemed like the cornerback was there a bit early. I think it's still a good non-call, but that wasn't, I don't know I think it's a 50-50 ball, that's for sure. And you don't throw it into a crowd like that because you're risking that for sure, especially something down the middle like that. You're risking too much, and maybe you don't make the throw. Sure, hit him kind of on the chest or whatever. Some guys make that catch. But in most times, you don't throw it into that crowd. So I, just saying what kind of like what I like from Ewers before I answer the question, because as far as what I think it depends on what options are out there, and it doesn't look great as far as the options. So I think just from what we've seen from Ewers, I think he does deserve a shot at starting, but it depends on a lot of other things right now because it's too early. But I think there's like 3 options on the table that I can see. First is you bring a free agent guy for like a year, give him the starting job, or tell him to you're going to compete with Ewers for the job.
Do you got any names for that?
Well, you got to be looking.
You think that they could probably grab in the offseason and to be the bridge, right? Because at first I'm thinking that Tua is going to have another year as the bridge, but I think this solidifies that. I think that.
How do you come back? Like, how do you come back from what happened? I don't think Tua is with the team even next year.
Yeah,
even though it's going to be, it's already a financial disaster.
And that's my next question, right? Is, do you see, and I know we're kind of jumping ahead now, but that's fine because you kind of brought it up. Do you see anybody actually giving him a shot and maybe trading for him, maybe for peanuts, for whatever the case may be. And we pay, the Dolphins are going to have to eat a lot of that money. But you think somebody gives him a shot? And if you do, like, which teams do you see maybe giving him a go at least for competing for the job?
I definitely think that he gets a look somewhere else. I definitely do, because it is hard to find a quarterback, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
It is hard. So quarterbacks, especially when they've had some sort of success, will always get a shot somewhere, because they think, oh, well, it was because of McDaniel, or they didn't have a good offensive line, or they didn't have enough weapons. Someone out there thinks this way, and for that reason is going to give them a shot. And there are going to be teams that, suffer an injury, or, we already see the Colts, they might be in a situation where they bring in a loaner type of free agent 1 year kind of thing, because Daniel Jones might not be able to start the season with his injury, so in those kinds of situations, they might have to make some kind of move, because I don't think the Colts draft a quarterback. I don't know, maybe, but they're probably thinking Daniel Jones is the guy. They're going to wait for him to come back from the injury, but they're going to give someone like Tua maybe a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard for me to see it, right? Especially because he took such a downgrade from 23, like, it just seems, and even from college, right? From college to the NFL, and then now, it just seems like he's a fraction of himself, right?
But 22 is still not that far back. It was just a couple of years ago where he was doing his thing, and he's only 27. That's the other thing that they're looking at, right? And so,
yeah, dude, but and this is what I thought about too, is like, some bodies are not built the same way, and I think he's one of those guys. You know what I mean? Like, kudos to him for getting his genetics to the NFL, but that means that he put it through more hell than somebody with the gifts of DK Metcalf, which probably was just naturally a freaking animal. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he doesn't put in work, or Derrick Henry or something. They put in work, but probably not as much as somebody that doesn't have the genetic gifts. And at the same time, I think that the body breaks down much faster. And I think that's what's happening, especially the way he got beat up in the head, and the hip and shit like that. It's like, he just probably can't really keep up. And now it's just a complete, I don't think he's coming back up. You know what I mean? It's just getting worse from here, I think.
Yeah, maybe. And the problem is that you have different opinions, right? I mean, you have different opinions out there. Some people might think that he wasn't surrounded with the right people in order to, because if you remember a couple of years ago, they were telling him, no, he's got to put on some weight. He's too lean. He's too light. He's too this or that. He put on some weight, and now he looks like fat and slow. Like, what the heck, So maybe other team. I'm not saying anybody will start him. I'm just saying somebody might give him a tryout.
Yeah, he'll be a backup somewhere,
a physical somewhere, and then figure out if they're going to keep him or not.
Yeah.
And there's, from the teams that need the quarterback,
Arizona
Raiders will probably draft one. The Jets will probably draft one if they don't want to keep,
No, they're drafting one.
Yeah, they're drafting one. The Cards are going to get rid of Kyler Murray, probably. They're going to draft one. The Rams are probably going to lose Stafford, especially if they win the Super Bowl. He's going to retire.
You think they're going to win the Super Bowl?
I think.
Is that what you're saying right now?
I mean, who's more favorite than the Rams right now? Now, there's maybe the Broncos, the Patriots. I mean, who else? Right? The Rams, I think, got a real shot.
Yeah. No, you're not lying. You're not lying.
And so they might, win or lose, they might still lose Stafford. But if they win, they definitely lose him. I say the Steelers, they're losing Rodgers. The people that are going to draft a little bit higher in the first round, that are not going to get maybe a day one starter from this draft, are probably the teams you're looking at. I think Rams are a real possibility losing Stafford, because they're going to draft really high in the first round. Unless they trade down, they probably don't get a first day starter out of that draft.
I just gotta say, I know there's teams out there, but I gotta say, man, I don't think Tua's got a good reputation right now, man. Yeah. I just don't like his play.
But
He
neither
still
did
flashes some good plays, right?
neither
Like I said, yeah, yeah.
someone's always
Dude,
gonna
but
take.
Russell was still a Super Bowl quarterback.
I mean, he was terrible before he left the Broncos, man. Terrible.
I know, but with the
Probably even
Seahawks,
worse than with the.
he was still winning Super Bowls though.
No, you're talking about, but that's almost the same thing, right? You got Russell Wilson that won the Super Bowl with the Seahawks. Then he goes to the Broncos and he's terrible. So this is what we got. 2 years ago, Tua was one of the best in the league, MVP talks and everything. So all I'm saying is there's still some recency there with his success, or recent enough that someone might think they can turn him around. Someone might. I'm not saying they can't, but I'm just saying someone out there.
Yeah, I don't want to make it. They want to make it such a big. It's just hard for me to see it at this point. Well, like I said, the reputation is
because you're just like me, are fucking angry at him right now because he fucking sucks. Yeah, absolutely. If you're a Dolphin fan, you're like, well, oh shit, the fucking Rams want him over there. You're like kind of laughing under,
Yeah,
but you're not gonna say shit. You're like, okay, you want him?
Yeah, you want it. Like I said, they're gonna have to. Man, I'm telling you, they're gonna have to pay somebody to take him, basically, and then give us like a 10th round pick I know it doesn't exist.
That money's already gone, dude. That money's already gone. So if we have to pay a big percentage of it for him to go elsewhere, that's better than having to just pay 100% of it. It's someone out there's gonna try to give him a shot,
right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Not go ahead. We'll be dead horse.
I'll be right there for the first front line going. Yeah,
we'll see. This is gonna be interesting.
I'll buy his plane ticket over to the new team.
It was Spirit Airlines.
Frontier. We're not bashing anyone here. Just saying.
But well, let's say, and that's the thing is what I was thinking about earlier when I was like, all right, let's get ready for this pod. I was like, why am I not so upset that the Dolphins are basically entering another familiar territory, right? Where we don't no freaking franchise quarterback, right? But I'm upset for sure, but not as bad as you think I would be, right? Like I don't feel that terrible. I'm just like, fuck it. I kind of interested to see what happens. I guess interested to see if I'm interested to see if Mike McDaniel is actually better with somebody else. If taking Tua out of the equation makes McDaniel like Mike better. I'm interested to see. I'm not sure if that's the case. I'm hoping that's the case. But we'll see.
I think I know why. We don't have Greer either, and we have some good young guys, some good young talent in there, and we got a few draft picks coming up. I mean, there is still a shot that in a couple of years we might be competitive again.
Yeah,
if we play the cards right.
Yeah. And speaking of playing the cards right, I was gonna ask early prediction, but I think it's too early. I think we'll hold off this last question till another episode because it's a little early to try to figure out who's gonna be the starting quarterback in 2026. So we'll leave that alone. But let's just close it out with we're meeting the Buccaneers this weekend. And just I just want to see them compete. It's like it's a preseason game for Quinn Ewers. It's part 2 of his interview. I definitely want to see better play calling and game plan from Mike McDaniel because I think there is a transition there that even the coach has to do. It's not just a quarterback change, right? It's the way the plays are called. They talked about it, right? That these are the plays that Quinn Ewers likes. So they go based off, the quarterback basically says, hey, coach, I like these plays. These are what I want to include in the game plan. So I feel like there's also a transition for the head coach or the play caller as well to kind of marry them together. So it's not just all Quinn Ewers as the head coach, or at least in our case, offensive coordinator / head coach, to kind of, get on the same page. So I think not only Quinn Ewers needs to get his head right with the offense, but it's also Mike McDaniel and his offensive coordinators. That makes sense?
Yeah, I think so. I think that you can start expanding little by little because, with the arm talent that he has, he basically can make a lot more throws than Tua can, in my opinion. I think we all share this opinion about
I mean, it looks 200% stronger when he throws the ball.
Absolutely.
You
It
know what I
looks
mean?
like an easy ball.
Even though, I mean, I don't think he was scouted as a strong arm, but compared to Tua, it sure as hell looks like a cannon. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
was he a
I
strong
guess
arm?
I heard differently, but yeah,
Well,
I think
maybe
arm
I'm
talent
wrong,
was
but I
one
could
of
have
it.
sworn it was like soft arm too. Like, you know what I mean? Not the strongest of arms is what I'm saying. Not
I don't
like,
think I don't think in this game he showed it. There was one throw there that he should have put some more air on it, and there was a linebacker I think that put a hand on it, which is the only pass that I thought he kind of like gunned it. And so you could see it's there. I don't think he uses it. He likes to throw the touch ball a lot more, it seems like. But the one ball he threw from his back leg, I mean, Tua doesn't make that throw even like with his feet set. And we saw it in that one game where Tua was benched. He threw that one on his back leg. He threw freaking 40, 45 yards in the air.
Yeah, I remember.
The one that
I'm
one got caught.
I'm pretty sure we texted about it. Like, that Tua doesn't make that at all. Ever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think we can, you'll see, hopefully, we'll see some expansion in the playbook this week and then the next week and that kind of thing.
Right.
So, hopefully we see that.
Hoping for progression. That's what I want for Christmas. Quinn Ewers progression.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely we got to lean on the running game. This game was just one of those, like Burrow just being Burrow, man. I think he made like maybe 3-4 plays that no other quarterback in this league makes in this game. And that was too much for us to overcome, especially if we're giving the ball away. We didn't get a turnover, we didn't take the ball away and we gave it 3 times. It's too much. It's too much. And so I think that definitely we got to give him a fair shot and expand in the playbook and hopefully see some progression there. I expect him to do well in these 2 games. I mean, he can't do worse than this first one, but I think it just comes with experience. We just need to give him a fair shot.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think a fair shot would be all 3 games, and then we know what we got. If he, obviously he's still a rookie. He may have 3 not so great games, but you at least see you start to see the flashes. And I mean, we saw it in this first game already. There was flashes of very good decisions, very good passes, and stuff like it. Poise for sure. That's an easy win for him. So he's got that check mark, right? So we'll see coming up against the Bucs on Sunday, just after this Christmas holiday. So with that, fins up for everybody. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. And I'll hope to see you guys hopefully next week. We got busy schedules coming up, obviously, with holidays and stuff, but we'll see. We should be good. So again, Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and fins up.
Fins up.